Yeah.
No research field. How are you, Maria? It's a raid from you, eh? All right. We'll start the meeting with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mayor, we're ready?
We're ready.
Okay, the first item on your agenda is the warrant of the claims, which has been audited. Do I have a motion to approve the warrant and claims as audited?
I make a motion to approve the warrants and claims.
Thank you, Trustee Balsecki. Thank you, Trustee Nigro. Trustee Walsh?
Yes.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee Vitale?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Balsecki?
Yes.
Mayor Minicozy?
Yes.
The next item before you are the budget transfers. And the resolution is to approve the budget transfers as presented and authorize the village clerk treasurer to make the transfers.
I make a motion?
Thank you, Trustee DiBartolomeo.
Second?
Thank you, Trustee Balsecki. Trustee Walsh?
Yes.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee DiNatale?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Balsecki?
Yes.
And Mayor Minicozy.
Yes.
The next item on your agenda is the approval of the prior meeting minutes with an amendment to Resolution 22-185, which was originally approved for a cost not to exceed $13,195. The actual cost not to exceed is $14,935. So do I have a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes, including the amendment to Resolution 2022-185?
I so move.
Thank you, Trustee Nigro.
Second?
Thank you, Trustee DiBartolomeo. Trustee Walsh.
Yeah.
Trustee Santoro.
Abstain.
Trustee Nigro.
Yes.
Trustee DiNatale.
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo.
Yes.
Trustee Balsecki.
Yes.
Mayor Minicozy.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is the holiday and meeting schedule. And
Alessio.
I apologize. The next item is Alessio. And this is a resolution to award the third year of the publicly bid contract for installation and emergency repairs for water main appurtenances for an amount not to exceed $209,897 to Alessio Pipe and Construction. Do I have a motion to accept and extend Alessio's contract?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you, Trustee Vitale. Thank you, Trustee Santoro. Trustee Walsh?
Yeah.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee DiNatale?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Balsecki?
Yes.
Mayor DiNatale? Mayor Minicozy?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the holiday meeting schedule for 2023. And I need a motion for a resolution to set the holiday meeting schedule for 2023 as was presented to you in your agenda packet. The meeting time for the board meetings is 6:30 p.m. and the dates are all again as listed.
I make a motion?
Thank you, Trustee DiBartolomeo.
Second?
Sorry.
Thank you, Trustee Santoro. Trustee Walsh.
Yes.
Trustee Santoro.
Yes.
Trustee Nigro.
Yes.
Trustee DiNatale.
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo.
Yes.
Trustee Balsecki.
Yes.
Mayor Minicozy.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution required to appoint Joyce Novak to the Bayville Environmental Conservation Commission for a term to expire on the first Monday in July 2024. Is Ms. Novak and Mr. Walker in the audience?
Under Commissioner Godfrey.
Okay, would you like to come forward and introduce yourself, Ms. Novak?
Hi, how are you? I am Joyce Novak, and I moved to Bayville in July. I am adjunct professor at Stony Brook University, and I'm the executive director of the Peconic National Estuary Program. It's the Long Island Sound Studies counterpart out east. So I was very interested in getting involved here now that I live here.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so at this time, I think we have a motion.
I make a motion.
Thank you.
I second.
Barbara Mayer, thank you, trustee Santoro. Trustee Walsh,
Yes.
trustee Santoro,
Yes.
trustee Nigro,
Yes.
trustee Di Natale,
Yes.
trustee DiBartolo Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Valsetti,
Yes.
Mayor Minicozzi.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is a quote from Dejana. This is going to be approved non-pro tunc. The quote is for the purchase of a hopper spreader to be mounted in the village vehicle for road de-icing materials. It's at a cost of $5,145, which is a municipal pricing cost as per the contract Dejana has. So again, I need a resolution, a motion to approve the resolution for the purchase of this sander.
Make a motion?
Thank you, trustee Del Secchi.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Member? Was it?
Yeah.
Trustee Walsh?
Yes.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee Di Natale?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Del Secchi?
Yes.
Mayor Minicozzi?
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a resolution to appoint David Rappley as historian for the village of Bayville, pursuant to section 57.07 of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law, which requires the villages to have a historian.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, trustee Valsetti.
I second.
Thank you, trustee DiBartolomeo. Trustee Walsh?
Yes.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee Di Natale?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Valsetti?
Yes.
Mayor Minicozzi?
Yes.
Mayor, this time I've covered the business that was on the agenda. I will turn the meeting over to you for any public comment or any other points you may have.
Thank you. So if anyone there would like to be heard this evening, Mr. Ravona, you have
Yes,
some
I'll go
questions?
first.
Hi, everybody. Barbara Bavona, 246 Bayville Avenue. I gave you guys pictures of what happened on our street. It was on the 19th. Apparently, there were a bunch of kids there were about 20 of them, that were out of town kids. And they were walking up and down the block, and they were smoking pot. And then there were another 10 that came along, and they were going down Quincy, and they were going down Dean's Lane. And apparently somebody called Joe. And he came along, and he was looking around to see what was going on. And, you know, I came out, Kathy came out, we couldn't find anybody around, and just disappeared into thin air. Next morning, as you can see with the pictures I gave you, beer bottle behind my husband's car, which luckily I saw it first because he could have rolled down my driveway and ran over and had a flat tire. Another one at 16's Lane, same thing, end of the driveway. However, that one was covered with paper, so you wouldn't have noticed it until you ran over it. And then a couple of other ones that were just placed strategically on our street. I don't know what, you know, is going on. There's no police presence in our town. There hasn't been for a long time. You know, people just cannot be walking around smoking pot, drinking beer on our streets willy-nilly and leaving bottles for people to run over and get flat tires. And who knows where these kids came from, what they're up to. They could be casing the houses, is a good possibility. We don't know.
You said you knew they were not from Bayville.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
I mean, I
Were they
really,
wearing, were they wearing?
I'm on video, I really don't want to say how I know that they're not from Bayville, but trust me, they weren't from Bayville.
Did you call the police?
No, because they were gone. By the time I came out, my next door neighbor called me. And, she's a young kid with a child, so she doesn't want to go running outside. So she calls me, she's like, Barbara, my friend, she was outside, she saw all these kids, and, this is what's happening. Do you, look out your window, see if you see anything. So I looked out, I don't see anybody. Next thing I know, I see Joe flying down the road. So then I came out. And he's like, look, he goes, I got a call about, kids on Quincy. I went down Quincy, there was nobody there. So I came down here onto Dean's Lane, thinking maybe they were at the Airbnb at the end of our block. But they weren't. They just disappeared. So, I don't know. I just figured.
No cars, just kids, you didn't see any.
Just cars, just kids.
Cars.
Well, the cars is another thing that's going on lately. Apparently, either it must be on Quincy or something where there's parties going on, and they're parking at the end of Dean's and taking the beach. I guess because they run out of parking spaces elsewhere. So you could park at the end of Dean's and your car would sit there and nobody would ever know. So they're going, to random streets by, just leaving their car at the end of Dean's. Dean's is like a dumping ground. It really is. Kids party at the end of the block every weekend. There's beer cans, bottles. It's just the party street. So I don't know, can anything be done? Can we ask for more police presence or something?
Did Mr. Rogers volunteer to call the Nassau County Police?
Well, what is he gonna call on? There was nobody to be found. They just disappeared. What are you gonna do? Who knows where they went? Well, the police aren't gonna go up and down every single street in Bayville. We don't know where they are.
Somebody mentioned that on the 4th of July, I forget who it was, that they saw parents dropping kids off in Bayville.
Yeah.
They weren't from Bayville, they were being, did you see any of that? Did you caught them getting in and out of cars?
No. That I didn't see, but that's a possibility. And that's what I said to Joe. I said, you don't know. These kids could pile in a car, take an Uber, or, have one car they pile in and they just drive here. And
What you could tell, were they of drinking age?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They could be parking in the commons. And
Yeah, so-
walking. They could be parking
Yeah,
anywhere.
they could be parking anywhere. They could,
Joe did bring this to our attention, and we did speak to him.
Oh, there you go.
about Going
Okay.
down there more frequently, potentially ticketing people that are blocking people's driveways,
Yeah.
et cetera. So, he's aware of it, obviously, he could bring it to our attention. We'll follow up then.
Okay, but my other concern is, beer bottles at the end of my driveway. I mean, come on. That's, there's a garbage can right in front of the Chinese restaurant. There's a garbage can right there. I mean, and you gotta leave it behind here's my house, there's a Chinese restaurant, the garbage can. Why do you have to leave it right there behind my tire?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just,
Doesn't answer the bigger question, why are you standing on the end of the street in Bayville drinking?
well,
I don't know the answer to that one.
well, there you go.
I think they're just going to the beach, probably hanging out.
Yeah.
Around it.
Well, hopefully maybe it's cold and it will stop, but,
Now you're drinking.
When was this?
This was the 19th, the pictures I took were on the 20th.
November?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I took the pictures, and I just happened to, I was walking my dog, and I saw them as I was walking my dog. I'm right behind you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak?
Pat Cornell.
7 Sherman Drive. It's come to my attention that pickleball courts are going to be built in Bayville. And I know we had discussed it last year, and I think it was kind of I don't think everybody agreed to it. And so apparently now everybody has agreed to it, and they're going to be built on the other side of the beach. Is that right?
West Harvard, on the.
So how is that going to impact our taxes?
no impact. This is done through a state grant from Chuck Levine's office that our clerk was able to obtain, so they're paying for the entire project.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And the original proposal was that they would paint over the lines. We just had painted on the tennis court, so no one was in favor of that. This won't involve that.
Also, regarding all these kids coming into Bayville, on the 4th of July, I understand that a lot of these kids were dropped off from other towns. And this has really got to stop. I don't know if it gets stopped at the bridge or one end of town and have the cars stopped, anybody that has more than 2 people in the car. Because all these, we have 300 and 400 kids on the beach. It's not right. And I don't know what people think here, or people that live in other towns, what they think they can do here. It's just like these kids think that they can drink on the beach in the middle of, in the night, or dropping their beer cans all over the place. This is not a dumping ground. It really isn't. Something's got to be done.
Yes, we're working with the association president for a solution that'll be in effect before next 4th of July.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Anthony Miano, new resident of Bayville since March or so, 13 Ellison Street.
Excuse me,
yes.
could you spell your last name?
Miano.
Thank you.
Just like piano, only with an M. So, yeah, kind of echoing some of the comments that were already made here, but more specifically here about the transient rental. Section 80-66.1 about you're not allowed to have transient rental more than 14 days. What does the village do to enforce that? And how is that enforced? And what can residents do to help enforce that, if anything? I know just going on Airbnb, just as of the 14th, there were 2 properties listing for rentals, one at $800 a night, one at $1,100 a night, one near Dean's Lane or on Dean's Lane. The other one I don't have, my glasses don't see as well. But what does the village do about enforcing this particular requirement, law, rule that you have? And what can citizens do? Again, echoing kind of what Barbara said, and what she said about young people, then I don't know about people driving into Bayville, but if they're having Airbnb and they're renting somebody's house to hang out and do God knows what, that's a problem. So anyway, the question is what can be done, what is being done, and what can be done by the citizenry to help alleviate this problem.
The first step is something like you just did, bringing it to our
Yes.
attention. I mean, there are other cases that, residents have brought to our attention, and the building inspector will investigate the situation. And,
But do we call, like, say, again?
Oh, yeah, call the building inspector.
The building inspector, not the police, but the building inspector.
Correct.
Okay, because, it could be till 2 o'clock in the morning, they're doing whatever, and, it's.
So have you experienced this yourself?
My friend who lives on Dean's Lane, and I've been with her, has experienced it multiple times. So yes, it's just, we all came here for quality of life. And when we have whomever coming over to spend the weekend.
You're saying a new resident, when did you?
March.
In March.
In March. But I've been coming, about 4 years now, back and forth. But one thing that brought me here was just going over the bridge. Really, it's the tranquil, just, working in Crazy Queens. Coming over the bridge, it's nice.
Well, I know other towns have rental permits, so I know I have a rental property and I have to, and it's 2 weeks at a time, and you have to purchase a permit through the town to be able to do that.
By Airbnb, you don't need that, right? You just.
Well, you're not allowed to.
But you're not allowed then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll know, if they look, if I did, or here a week and someone, a neighbor says that person was there a week and it's 2 weeks in this town that I have a rental, and then I'm in, they'll take the permit away. So eventually we could look into
Well,
something.
I've been suggesting rental permits for a couple of years now because they monitor proper COs and living conditions. That whole fire that happened in Southampton, that family was supposed to have a rental permit for the landlord and did not have one, and the smoke detectors were not working. What part of the procedure of getting a permit is making sure smoke detectors are working
alarms on pools, they
Right.
came and investigated, they looked at my whole property and said, this is.
So I'm in favor of them for safety reasons for our residents.
Oh, that'll be great.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And what was the person to call?
The building inspector.
Building inspector. All right. Thank you very much. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not friends too. Oh, okay.
My name is Patrick Gaillard, Gaillard. I live at 2 Gateway Court in North Point. I'd like to hand these out to anybody there. So you can-
Give me a moment.
I am representing the homeowners association in Oak Point Woods Homeowners Association. And first of all, we want to thank you guys all for the work you do here and for choosing to serve our community the way you do. We all have things we like about Bayville, and we all want to make improvements, but adjusting for the times. But we don't want to lose any of the good things that we like about Bayville along the way. And we rely on all of you to strike the right balance on these things. We appreciate what you're doing. Recently, under the direction of this administration, it was decided to remove a really historic gate from an equally historic brick wall that runs along our development. It runs along Bayville Avenue between Cliff Drive and School Street. The wall and its historic dolphin-themed wrought iron gate, they both originate from actually the time when our first mayor, Winslow Pierce, in 1903, built his private mansion on this very property. He eventually sold the property to Harrison Williams in the 20s, and it was further developed to a really very impressive property. And so 30 years later, it was sold again. And a portion was donated to our village and became the current Village Hall grounds. The rest was sold to developers and became the home developments of today running along this brick wall side of Bayville Avenue. Our association is one of these brick wall developments, and its main entrance is adjacent to the removed gate. We recently sent a letter to all of you requesting that this historic dolphin gate be returned. In this handout I presenting to all of you today, there's some pictures, as well as the comments I'm reading from now. There's some pictures of this gate as it was being removed. It's been sitting there, it's been there for over 100 years. It wasn't causing any harm to anybody. It wasn't disrupting any activity that required sudden and immediate removal without any notice to the community. We frankly are really wondering why it was so urgently removed without any deliberation, and in what way this action is benefiting our community. And we've been informed since that there's possibly an intent to restore the gate and to either put it in a village museum or maybe return it to its original location. We're not of the opinion that it is village property, nor that it's the village's right to simply take it upon themselves to do this sort of thing without consulting at least our association, if not the entire community. This village of Bayville has in recent times obliged our association, Oak Point Woods Homeowners Association, to mend chain link fencing on the brick wall property, and also to repair a section of brick wall adjacent to a property on Cliff Drive, a private property on Cliff Drive. Although the village is well aware of issues with the deeding of this property, it has been adamant about our association making repairs to the wall and fencing along this property. Yet without any notice at all to this same homeowners association, it removes the jewel of this property from these grounds. It's entirely inconsistent to be on the one hand expected to maintain the property, and the other hand, not even be consulted on the removal of the jewel of this property. The way in which this historic gate was crudely cut away from the ground and brick wall is unfortunately highly inconsistent with concepts of historic preservation. This 100-year-old, 1.5-inch by 2-inch thick solid steel was built into the brick wall posts. It was simply cut through instead of restoring the gate in place, as could have been done without collateral damage. It seems it will now take more work than would have been required to restore and replace it. The good news, as recent discussions presented, in this case, we're not dealing with vandals and thieves. It's merely us and our administration trying to get it right. We're all together, one family. With that said, we're asking our administration to formalize their plan and schedule for completing the return of the restored historic Dolphin Gate. I'm going to ask what's the budget, and that the work be done by those qualified in such restoration work. And we look forward to the restoration of the entrance of our homeowners development. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
Questions? Would you like me to comment on
Please,
it?
yes, please.
So, the gates were taken under my direction. The museum director had come to me and said that he would really like to have the gates as part of the museum. They're historic, they've been there, as you said, however many years, 75 years plus. So I reached out to Nassau County because I thought they owned the property. I still feel they own the property. And asked them if we could remove the gates to have them restored, and they gave us permission to do so. As you know, the county maintains the land that the gates are sitting on. Not the wall itself, but the land that the gates were sitting on. They've been maintaining it for a few years now, because we asked them to do so, because you guys were not. Seemed to be so concerned about these gates that you guys didn't take any care in whatsoever. They've been sitting there rotting for 75 years.
I'm sorry, they're not right.
They were in very, very bad shape. They could not be restored in place. So anyway, we took the gates to have them restored. It will be restored by a qualified contractor. You made a comment about the chain link fence. We called the county to fix the fence, not you. The county's answer on the chain link fence was that they would remove it but not repair it. The same answer that they've had with the brick wall for the last 20 years. If you guys want the wall, they're fine with that, but they're not going to repair the wall. That's always been their stance from day one. And when the county said that they were going to take the chain link fence down, I asked the building inspector to go back to you guys as a courtesy, because I said, I don't think they're going to want a gaping hole in the wall there.
I'm sorry, but we were contacted by the village building inspector, not the county.
I know, that's what I said. I asked the building inspector to call the county to fix the fence when the tree fell out.
We don't know that at all. We know it's the village.
I'm telling you a story.
Insisted
The county,
that's repair.
we didn't insist on anything. The county said that they would not fix the fence, they would take it down. I said to Doug, the building inspector, go to the homeowners association. I doubt they want a gaping hole in the wall, so
But
maybe
yeah,
they
I
want to
appreciate
fix the
everything you're
fence.
saying. On the other hand, it's not really the subject today. That's all.
You brought it up.
I brought it up as an example of how
I'm
the village
giving you an
does
example.
expect us and put it upon us to do these maintenance tasks and chores.
You don't,
And it's
you don't
it's
have
just
to maintain
surprising
the wall.
that
The county
the
will
village
put a
knows
guardrail
where
up
we
if
are
that's
when
what
it
you
comes
want.
to making repairs, but they didn't seem to remember where we were when it comes to taking down our gate.
It's not your gate. I
Well,
still
certainly
feel
not
like-
the villages.
Do you pay property tax on
Let
that?
me ask you something. To my knowledge, museums, their collections are either acquired from rightful owners or donated to them by rightful owners. When did the village become the rightful owner of this gate?
We never said
When did
we
the
owned
village
the gate.
become entitled to donate it to the museum?
We never said we own the gate. I still feel that Nassau County owns the gate. We
I
asked Nassau
was
County
under
for
the
permission
impression
to
that
take
you
the
were
gate.
saying, I didn't hear you say the county was giving the gate to the museum. I didn't hear you say that.
The
Is that what you're saying
county
now?
is lending the gate to us, to the village of Bayville. Okay, whether it goes to
How
the
does this
museum or
make
back in
laws?
that spot.
Where does this
First of all,
come
the
from?
museum director would like to see them put back where they were.
That's good to hear.
That's
That's
his
good to hear.
first wish, is to
That's
have
very
them
good
put
to
back
hear.
there. But he doesn't want them put back there behind 10 trees where nobody's gonna see them either.
Well, there aren't 10 trees there now, so I don't know where they're gonna come from.
There's no trees in front of that?
There are 10 of them.
You wanna go count them?
They're three, they're exactly three. And they can come down very easily, that's really not.
If I may, from my research of that property, and from my knowledge, the county rejected the deed to that property.
Absolutely correct.
Therefore, the county does, in my
No,
opinion,
no.
does not own the property.
I'm Eugene Russo, by the way. The county didn't reject the deed. What happened was, as a condition to build the development, the county said they wanted the road because they were anticipating a bridge going across. So they required the builder to donate that property to Nassau County. The builder, I understand, went bankrupt. He never transferred the deed, so Nassau County never accepted it. But Bayville still issued the building permits and gave people COs without that being completed by the builder. So the village back then just made a mistake, and now, you know, this property was supposed to be donated to the county, and the county was also supposed to maintain that, the whole area, and in addition to maintaining the area, would have to replace and move the wall if it needed to be moved, if they widened the road. And the problem was that Bayville never made sure that the builder complied with the requirements that Nassau County and the Village of Bayville gave the builder in order to build on all the plots that are in Oak Point. And that's why there's a mishmash in Oak Point, and nothing's properly deeded as far as any of the common properties.
You know, along those lines, at every opportunity, the county did refuse and deny that they have ownership of that property. That they denied that they ever accepted the option to take it on.
Because that building the bridge is definitely not going to happen at this point.
They maintain the property.
Well, it doesn't
They
matter.
own the road there too. They just not.
Yes, it's a county road. So they maintain property.
They don't maintain both sides of Bayville Avenue from one end to the other. They maintain that piece of
Well,
property.
So
Again, I've had
so-
these conversations with them. And they still feel, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, that the wall is on their property, but they're not going to maintain the wall. They will put a
Well, but
guardrail
again,
up.
that's not the point here. The point here is that we do believe that you all work together as a team, and that actions like this are taken on behalf of the whole team after, you know, deliberating a little bit and agreeing, yeah, let's do this. And it just seems sensible that you would contact the adjacent homeowners and let them know what's gonna happen to their entrance.
And it's sort of checks
It's
and
just,
balances
it's just
here.
phenomenal that you would be left out of this process.
This
Was there any plan at any time to renovate that gate on your part?
Well, first of
Your
all,
associate? No,
That,
I asked
one could say that that wall and gate, being old, you know, like 100 years old or something, over time, a little bit of maintenance has been done here and there. No, it's not magnificently maintained.
That wasn't my question, so my question was whether your association did any renovation or maintenance on that gate at any time.
No, not renovation type of maintenance, but it's
So,
more like grounds maintenance,
is there
yes.
another type of maintenance?
We do pay a landscaper to maintain that area, yes.
He
that is our
doesn't
interest.
maintain the gate.
County maintains that.
If the village would have done what it was supposed to do in the beginning, Nassau County would be forced to maintain that. It's because the village did not do the right thing back 20, 30 years ago, when these houses were being built, that this is not properly.
And your assumption is that the county would have maintained the gate?
It said,
That was part of
it in the agreements that were reached back then.
My concern is, if you left it, instead of complaining about the village, left it up to the county, they don't look to take on any additional responsibility.
That's today, yes.
So let me finish.
Yeah.
And what they would have done is remove the gate as an unnecessary hindrance to the maintenance of their property. Because it is, we all agree it's their property. So you don't agree that that strip of land is,
The county's property?
The county's
Absolutely.
property?
No, it absolutely is not.
so you have the title to that?
I don't have the title to it, no.
The title's in limbo right now.
Are we paying
Nobody has
taxes on
title to that property.
Is anyone paying taxes on that property? No.
I
It
believe,
doesn't even have a lot number on the tax map. So if you look at the adjacent homeowners association, that wall is on property that does have a lot number.
Correct.
But this particular area, since this was never fully resolved, it was never given a lot number.
See, I looked at the map, it seems as if at that point, the county right-of-way, Bayville Road, the way the subdivision was granted. So it seems to me that it is on the county property, whether the county wants to acknowledge that or not. I saw that letter that they sent, but when you look at the land and tax map, it goes to the boundary line of that property owner. And anything to the south of that, as you see it on the map, belongs to the county, because it's part of the right of way.
Yeah, actually, we have a map that shows how, there's a zone basically from the wall, from the roadway to, I think it's like 15 feet. It goes beyond the wall. And as Eugene was saying, if they had taken on widening the road, it was in preparation for the possibility of having a wide Bayville Avenue. And then the wording was right on that map, that they would literally move the wall, the gate and everything, so many feet.
Yes.
Still has to be able to widen the road and leave all that intact. So today they'll say it's not ours, and if you make us do anything, we're gonna take it down and destroy it. But back then, that wasn't the plan. But back then, it didn't write on the map.
I agree. I think you've got to
enforce anything.
I think you've got a title limbo problem in a way,
Yeah.
because you'd have to go back and research all of that. I saw the letter that the county sent, but I didn't see any documentation or any maps that relate to the deeds themselves. The deeds, if the deeds have meets and bounds descriptions, then of course they're going to have a bearing.
And in fact, it looked like someone's fence was actually on county property.
That's, well, whose property,
Yeah, I know.
the county says it's not theirs,
I know,
But what
I'm
that,
just saying.
what that property, those items are, they're not on anybody's property right now, so to speak. So it's not to say that if you go along that entire line, you'll see cases of, is that encroachment? Who can say, but it's certainly beyond their own survey space. If you look at their own
Go
property,
party on that property.
Ultimately, as I said, the museum director wants them back there. So if it turns out, which again, I don't think is the case, that you guys own the property, then we'll work together to put them back up.
that's much appreciated to hear.
I do think we should work together regardless. I think the gates are part of a point. I myself was not aware that the gates were coming down, and I don't know what the budget is to fix them. And I think we should work, whoever owns this property, obviously it's in limbo, but I think we should work with the HOA of Oak Point and having them preserved and returned.
Yeah, it's in all of our interest to have that section look as nice as it can and to achieve whatever restoration we can by whatever means.
They're very unique, if that's a unique gate, and it would seem to me that it might be better as part of the museum, if someone wants to, fix them up and put them up here, they'd be better up here, in my opinion.
I think they'd be better up here too.
Because you can now say this is part of the old Harrison Williams estate, this is part of the museum, this is one part of it, that's all you have. Because it's only one side of the gate, right?
No. The part that's missing is the middle, actually.
Huh?
What's missing is the middle. The middle of the top is what's missing.
Oh, okay. So
the two portions that were like figures attached to the wall is what was
they're the ones, okay.
But the screening portion,
But having something like that fixed up nicely and with a nice plaque on it in the village museum, it seems to me it might be a better place for it.
Now, if many people who knew what it was enjoyed driving by it and seeing it, and it's really a gem. It's sitting right there.
It's almost like a historic building, you leave it in place.
You don't put it through a museum, right?
Well,
Besides, the museums are
like we're not.
museums are only ever open. That Bayville Avenue is always open, 24/7. You can drive by there and you can look at the gate. You can't do that with the
If
museum.
it turns out that you own the property, these 6 trees that are in the picture, that I can see 6, you're willing to cut them down?
Absolutely, 5 minutes. That's not an issue. They're not my trees, but I'll cut them down.
You gotta get a permit.
Yeah, as long as we get a permit for that.
Well, it's our intent, obviously, to keep the gates, to bring them back to furbish them back to where they are and hopefully get them back to where they belong. So I don't think anything was done out of,
We thought,
I think the intentions were
I
right.
don't think I did, but we
We're
went
all
to the
one
county.
family, we're working together,
Right.
trying to get it right. I think we're all, I love what I'm hearing, okay? I love what I'm hearing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're just looking to know we're on the right track.
Okay.
Absolutely. And you'll take the trees down.
And the trees are coming down, just let us know what to plan, what to expect, the trees will be down, we don't want them in your way.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak?
No other business?
Want to give us the gate?
If there's no other business that the board would like to discuss at this time, I'll ask for a resolution to close the meeting. Let the record show it's 7:10 PM.
I motion.
I move we end the meeting.
Thank you, trustee Gossetto. Trustee Negro, I'll take this a second.
Sure.
Trustee Walsh?
Yes.
Trustee Santoro?
Yes.
Trustee Nigro?
Yes.
Trustee DiMarcalo?
Yes.
Trustee DiBartolomeo?
Yes.
Trustee Gossetto?
Yes.
Mayor Minicos?
Yes. Thank you.
We have it put on.
All right.